The Coral Garden atrocity happened in Jamaica, 1963, April 11 to 13, following a violent altercation at a gas station in Montego Bay. Jamaican police and military force detained Rastafarians throughout Jamaica, killing and torturing many. Exact numbers are not available, but estimates place the numbers of detained individuals as high as 150. April 11 to 30, 1963 will be remembered as one of the most dreadful attacks on Rastafarian in Jamaica history. The Coral Garden massacre or Coral Garden incident, Bad Friday. The incident began on Easter holiday of Good Friday 1963, but it ends here was nothing good. Leading up to 1963, the relationship between Rastas and the wider society was already strained. The relationship between the Rastafarian community and the British colonial government in Jamaica has been tense years before the Coral Garden massacre. The police would arrest and evict Rastafarian, often charging them with possession of cannabis, the plant used as a Rastafarian religious sacrament. In 1959, a confrontation at Coronation Market led to police beating on Rastafarian security guard, prompting a violent response from nearby shop owners. This led to an arrest of 57 Rastafarian who were brutally beaten. Some were even subjected to their forced shaving of their dreadlocks. Later that year, Rastafarian leader Claudius Henry was accused of plotting a revolution and communicating with Fidel Castro. Allegedly, the violence in Coral Garden was triggered by a land dispute in 1962 involving Rodolph Franklin, also known as Birdman, a Rastafarian who was reportedly farming illegally there. Franklin and other bearded men lived in relative peace on the land until it was sold to Ken Douglas. During one of several attempts by these authorities to evict these men off the land, Franklin was shot 5 times and left for unalive in the churchyard. He was taken to hospital, treated and released, but on the release he was charged with possession of ganja. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison and released in 1963. After his release, Franklin and his accomplices set fire to a gas station owned by Douglas. The police were called, resulting in a fight between them and the would-be arsonists. And when the dust settled, casualties include Franklin and 2 of his men. In total, 3 Rastafarian, 2 civilian, and 2 policemen unalive in Coral Garden. That day, 2 others were involved in the incident were tried, found guilty, and sentenced to hang, which happened on December 2nd, 1964. So, in the aftermath of the Coral Garden incident, Rastamen throughout the western part of the island were rounded up and abused at the hands of the armed forces, bringing all Rastas dead or alive, are the infamous word of the Jamaican then Prime Minister, Sir Alexander Bustamante, who went to St. James with the Commissioner of Police and head of the Jamaican Defence Force. Police from neighboring parish were dispatched to Coral Garden and surrounding area, where more than 150 bearded men were rounded up and arrested. There were reports that many of these persons who had no part in the incident were arrested, jailed, beaten, and tortured. At that time, there were widespread prejudice against Rastafarians in Jamaica, and Franklin attack seems to add fuel to the fire. In the 2014 Gleaner articles, Rasta Demands Reparation, written by Carly Williams, Walter Brissett, a Coral Garden survivor, in speaking about the atrocities said, "The police hunted us like animals and took us all to prison, where we were severely mistreated. We were spot on brutally beaten. and food were purposely withheld from us. The forced cutting of beard and shaving of heads were also amongst the injustice that Rastafarians suffered during the incident, dubbed Bad Friday.